How do we achieve the mercy of Lord Nityananda, the original Guru? So now listen to this. It begins in a slightly, you may not know what to make of it, but it's just 2 sentences. But it's really profound. So here we go. How do we achieve the mercy of Lord Nityananda, the original Guru? Okay, answer. I am an expert. This is not a transcendentalist's mentality. If we realize that there are no persons as fallen, wretched, and unqualified as ourselves in the entire world, then we are eligible to receive the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu, the original Guru. What do you think of that? Anyway, you think about that. Because you might think, well, that I'm the most sort of despicable character around. But what if I think someone else is worse than me? Then how can I, from the heart, how can I really sort of embrace that and take that mood or accept that mood? Thing is, though, devotees and friends, we are all kind of in the same boat, in a sense. We're pretty much, I would say, equally as, well, fallen, degraded through living in this material world. I think we're all kind of, it's a bit much of a muchness, really. So if we think in those terms, then we could embrace this idea that really I really have very little to be proud of. I have very little to be proud of unless you can be proud of being the most fallen person. Yeah. So actually in this age of Kali, generally people are more or less like that. It's a really sad situation. It's a kind of sick situation, you could say. Yeah, it's a really sick situation. People in general, they have loads of bad habits. I mean, loads. Like, for example, meat eating, intoxication, gambling, illicit sex life, all these types of things. These are the natural activities of degraded people. And these things are so common that people think that it's normal because everybody else is doing it. Then it must be okay for me to do it. It's just normal. But it's not normal. It really is not normal. Particularly in this human form of life, which we're all fortunate to have. We're meant to do better. We have the opportunity to do better than that, to improve ourselves, to get the mercy of the Lord. And by His mercy, through the association of devotees, through the mercy of the Lord, coming through the association of devotees, to improve ourselves. Not just improve ourselves financially, get a better job or a better business to bring in a few extra bucks, that sort of thing. Yeah. Or to become more famous, something along those lines. That's not real improvement. People tend to think that such things are like the real goals of life. Or even just simply to have a happy family. But actually this human form of life is for more than that, as we said, for developing not just our family relationships, but our relationships with God. Well, and of course, our family relationships in relation with God. That's what life is for. But people, generally, they're not even aware of that. It's one thing being aware of something better, but feeling, gosh, I can't do it. And it's another thing not even being aware of it. Just sort of washed out in material existence. So by the mercy of Lord Nityananda, who is the Lord, but in the mood of a devotee of the Lord, and showing us what it means to live as a devotee. So by the mercy of Lord Nityananda, great things can happen. Great things can happen. As a verse in Caitanya Charitamrita says, by that mercy, a lame man can climb mountains, a blind man can see the stars in the sky, and a child can understand the conclusive truths of the Vedic scriptures. So therefore, it's a very good idea, and I really encourage all of you to pray for the mercy of Lord Nityananda. Seriously, try and make it like a daily practice, at least once a day. Take 10 or 15 seconds and pray, my dear Lord Nityananda, please help me to become a better person and a better devotee of yours and of Lord Krishna's. And, I guarantee you, if you get into a regular practice of doing like that, you'll feel the difference. You'll see the difference in yourself. Because Lord Nityananda is very merciful. So what I'm going to do, that was just a little sort of prelude, introduction. I'm going to read some verses. You could say it's sort of like a conversation between a person who was a really super out of it person, a most incredibly, fantastically out of it person, named Madai, the two brothers Jagai and Madai, famous, what would you call them, reprobates, or just really like the worst, the lowest of the low, amazing people, vicious criminals. But they got delivered. They got saved from their otherwise hopeless condition by the mercy directly, personally, of Lord Nityananda. So to begin the recitation, I'm going to read one verse here. This is Chaitanya Bhagavat Madhya Kanda, chapter 15, verse 66. And, well, it comes right at the end. Madai is offering prayers to Lord Nityananda for helping him, for saving him from his just abysmal degradation. This verse, it's a blessing. It comes at the end. But I'm telling you before so that you'll appreciate, and then when we read through it, through the other verses, you'll be aware that you should concentrate. Tumi ye karila stuti, iha ye shune, Seho Bhakta, Nai Beka, Amara Cholane. And it's Lord Nityananda speaking. Anyone who hears your prayers, Madai, will certainly become devoted to my lotus feet. So we'll read some of these prayers and just bear that in mind. Anyone who hears these special prayers, Lord Nityananda says, will certainly become devoted to the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda himself. Okay, so here we go. I'll just read the English translations. So Jagai and Madai, they were brothers, and they were born in a Brahmin family, but they became sort of just like two-legged animals, you could say, what's called in Sanskrit Purusha Pashu. Purusha meaning human, Pashu meaning animal, just mad animals, just wild, crazy, degraded people. But then, by the mercy of Lord Nityananda, they realized their incredibly pathetic condition, and they turned themselves around. So, here we go. First of all, little background. Every day in the early morning, they, means Jagai and Madai, the two brothers, they would take bath in the Ganges and then sit in a solitary place to chant 200,000 names of Krishna. 200,000 names. You know, I'm sure there's a number of you here who are chanting some rounds on beats every day. Maybe, I'm sure, I know actually, a number of you are chanting 16 rounds. But you know how many rounds 200,000 names of the Lord is? How many rounds? Whoa! It's in the vicinity of 120. Just when you thought doing 16 rounds a day, you were doing pretty good, then you hear that someone's doing 120, and that was Jagai and Madai. They continually condemned themselves and cried as they constantly chanted the name of Krishna. They cried and fell to the ground unconscious as they remembered the violence that they had previously committed. Remembering the Lord, they repeatedly cried and exclaimed, "O Lord, O dear deliverer of the fallen souls." Due to love of Krishna, they forgot to eat, and they would cry as they remembered the mercy of Lord Nityananda. Lord Caitanya and his associates continually solaced and bestowed mercy on the two, but still they were not peaceful at heart. Particularly Madai cried repeatedly as he remembered how he attacked Nityananda. Because what happened in that story, I know many of you are well aware, but the two of them approached Lord Nityananda. Lord Nityananda approached them initially because he wanted to try to help them improve themselves. But at that point, they were just less than not interested. So then Madai physically attacked Lord Nityananda. He struck him with a piece of a broken clay pot and struck him on the head and really hard. and there was blood all over Lord Nityananda. His clothes were just covered in blood. So it was of the two, it was Madai who did that. So particularly Madai cried repeatedly as he remembered how he attacked Nityananda. He would condemn himself while repeatedly saying, I made the body of Lord Nityananda bleed. I'm so sinful that I hit the body in which Lord Caitanya enjoys his pastimes. Madai practically lost consciousness while remembering this. He cried day and night and could not think of anything else. Day and night, Lord Nityananda happily wandered about Navadvip in the mood of a child. This is Lord Nityananda. Lord Nityananda was by nature full of ecstasy and free of pride as he wandered throughout the city. One day, seeing Lord Nityananda in a solitary place, Madai fell down and grabbed his lotus feet. He washed the Lord's feet with tears of love. Taking a straw between his teeth, he began to offer prayers to the Lord. O Lord, you maintain everyone in your form as Vishnu. You hold innumerable universes on your hoods. O Lord, you are the embodiment of pure devotional service. Parvati and Shiva meditate on you. You distribute devotional service. There is no one more dear to Lord Caitanya than you. You sing the glories of Krishna with innumerable mouths, and you teach everyone devotional service, the topmost religious system. Narada Muni sings your glories, for your only asset is Lord Caitanya. You are known as the chastiser of Kalindi. By serving you, Janaka achieved transcendental knowledge. You are the father of the universe and the master of mystic power. You are Lakshman, the great archer. You are the destroyer of the atheists, the enjoyer of transcendental mellows, and the teacher by example. You know all of Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. There is no one more dear to Krishna than you. You are the source of all Lord Gaurachandra's incarnations. You protect all the devotees, and you teach the principles of Vaishnava Dharma. Rudra, who is non-different from Sankarshan, appeared from Sankarshan and devours the three worlds. Even though you do everything, you do not do anything. You hold the Lord of innumerable universes within your heart. Krishna enjoys sleeping on your extremely soft and pleasing body. I attacked your transcendental body, so there is no one more sinful than me. Throughout his life, Shiva worships your body with Parvati and 100 million young ladies. By remembering this form, your form, one is freed from all bondage, yet I made your body bleed. Maharaj Chitraketu became the topmost Vaishnava and enjoyed great happiness by serving your transcendental form. Unlimited universes meditate on your body, yet I am so sinful that I attacked your body. By serving your body, sages headed by Sanaka became free from bondage at Naimisharanya. Indrajit and Dvivida were both vanquished because they attacked your transcendental body. Jarasandha was destroyed because he attacked your body. How can I have any auspiciousness after attacking your body? What to speak of attacking you? Simply by insulting you, Rukmi, the brother of Krishna's wife, lost his life. Even though Romaharshana Sutta received a duration of life as long as that of Lord Brahma, he was burned to ashes because he did not stand up on seeing you. King Duryodhana and his dynasty were almost destroyed just for insulting you. By the arrangement of providence, great devotees like Kunti, Bhishma, Yudhisthira, Vidura, and Arjuna, who all understood your desire, were present there. By insulting you, one's life is finished. So where will a most sinful person like me go? While offering prayers in this way, Madai floated in an ocean of love. He fell down and took the Lord's feet to his heart. He said, one will never be destroyed if he takes shelter at these lotus feet, which manifest to deliver the fallen souls. Dear Lord, please deliver this surrendered soul. You are Madai's life, wealth, and soul. All glories to the son of Padmavati, all glories to Lord Nityananda, the wealth of the Vaishnavas. All glories to the blissful Lord who is free from anger. It is proper for you to forgive the offenses of the surrendered souls. I am the most sinful Chandala, like an ungrateful ass or cow. O Lord, please excuse all my offenses. After hearing Madai's sincere prayers of love, Lord Nityananda smiled and spoke as follows. Get up, Madai. You are my servant. I have now manifested in your body. Does a father feel unhappy if his little child hits him? I accepted your hitting my body in the same way. Anyone who hears these prayers of yours, Madai, will certainly become devoted to my lotus feet. Since you are the recipient of my Lord's mercy, there's not a trace of fault in you. One who worships Lord Caitanya is my life and soul. I protect such a person forever. I am never pleased with one who sings my glories and worships me, but does not worship Lord Caitanya. Such a person suffers birth after birth. After speaking in this way, Lord Nityananda happily embraced Madai, who thus became freed from all distress. Again, grabbing the Lord's lotus feet, Madai spoke. O Lord, he said, I have one more appeal. O Lord, you reside in the hearts of all living entities, and I have committed violence against many of them. I do not know everyone that I have hurt. If I knew them, I could beg their forgiveness. How will I get the blessings of all those who I have offended? O Lord, if you're kind to me, please instruct me in this regard. So Lord Nityananda replied, listen, as I tell you the means. Construct a bathing ghat on the bank of the Ganges. When people happily take bath in the Ganges, they will all bless you. Serving the Ganges will counteract your offenses. What could be more fortunate for you than this? Humbly offer your obeisances to everyone. Then all your offenses will be forgiven. So, receiving the Lord's instructions, Madai then circumambulated the Lord and departed. Tears flowed from his eyes as he chanted the name of Krishna. Everyone watched as he built a ghat on the bank of the Ganges. People were greatly astonished on seeing this. Madai then offered obeisances to everyone. He said, please bless me and forgive me for the offenses that I've knowingly and unknowingly committed. Seeing Madai cry, everyone began to cry in ecstasy as they remembered Lord Krishna. Everyone heard Nimai Pandit, Lord Caitanya, transformed Jagai and Madai into exalted personalities. Hearing this, everyone was astonished and said, Lord Caitanya is not an ordinary human being. So like this, Madai performed most severe austerities and soon became known as Brahmachari. He constantly saw the Ganges while living at the ghat on the riverbank. He took a shovel in his hand and personally worked there. Even today, everyone proclaims Madai's ghat as the evidence of Lord Caitanya and Lord Nityananda's mercy. So, devotees, Hare Krishna, accepting Sri Caitanya and Nityananda Prabhu as my life and soul, I, Vrindavan Das, the author, sing the glories of their lotus feet. So you heard those prayers of Madai. Very amazing, very humble, very, very humble. Humility is such an important quality for devotees to try to develop. Srila Prabhupada, our spiritual master, says that Krishna can forgive almost any fault on the part of his devotee, but he cannot forgive pride. Yes, pride, you could say, at least is a very important part of the reason for us being caught up here in this world, rather than being in the spiritual world in the kingdom of God with the Lord. We decided that we would do our own thing. We could do better than the Supreme Lord. And Srila Prabhupada, I was told at least when I first moved into our temple in London in early 1973, I was told that before anyone comes to this world from the kingdom of God, Just as one's got all worked up that I want to be important. I want to be the center of attention. I want to be the enjoyer. So we're told that Lord Krishna comes to us and speaks to us and explains to us that, it doesn't work like that. You may want that, but you can't achieve it. So don't try. Don't go there. Don't come down to Tongat, even La Mercy. Don't come down here. Just stay with me. This is what we were told. Just stay with me, Krishna says, in Goloka Vrindavan, in the kingdom of God. So we decided, no, I'm going to La Mercy. I'm going to get a big Lani house and become important. Something like that. So that pride, even what to speak of for devotees, but just ordinary people, everyday people, they have the saying. You know the saying? Pride comes before a fall. Even they understand. I mean, it doesn't help them so much because they tend to, there's a saying, the pauper is proud of his penny, which in principle means if you've got a fraction of a good quality, by the grace of the Lord, you'll find a way to become proud of it and think, yes, I am cool. So this humility, we read what Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said, that we should feel that actually I'm just the most unqualified and useless person. We should try to embrace these types of ideas and pray to the Lord to be kind, and He will be kind, because when He sees people embrace these ideas and in the spirit of becoming the Lord's servant, then He gives His mercy. Sometimes people think that if we think about ourselves in, what you might call negative ways, that I'm not Mr. Super Cool after all, if we start thinking that, I have shortcomings, we may get low self-esteem or become depressed, get into a sort of clinical depression or something. But actually, if we cultivate a mood of humility, as we've been reading about, but in a mood of Krishna consciousness, in a mood of being a devotee of the Lord and taking shelter of the Lord and praying to the Lord for His mercy, then actually we will become inspired, because we'll appreciate that even though I'm sort of a fairly typically useless person in spiritual terms, but the Lord is so kind that even someone who's, kind of average useless like me, even someone like me, I can actually do something of value and make a real contribution to humanity, to human society. Yes, this is humility in Krishna consciousness. It's not just condemning oneself to, being a hopeless case, and that's all there is to it. But there's that inspiration that even though I'm really lacking, but the Lord is so merciful that if I take shelter of Him and really try to serve Him nicely and help with his mission, then the Lord will give his mercy and we'll get real inspiration and ecstasy, great happiness, being humbly engaged in his service. So let's try and do that, devotees. Let's try and cultivate this mood, praying to Lord Nityananda, that Lord Nityananda, please help me to become a qualified person, qualified devotee, and do some real service to you, and some real service to your Lord, Lord Caitanya. I promise you, if you pray like that, from the heart, every day, even just for 30 seconds or 15 seconds, that you will get a real boost. You'll feel a real boost coming from within. So there you go, devotees. Let me close by reading one last verse here. Chariveda Gupta Dana, Chaitanyera Kata, Mana Dia Shuna Ye, Karila Yata Yata. The topics of Lord Caitanya and Lord Nityananda are the hidden treasure of the 4 Vedas. Please listen attentively as we describe how and where the Lords performed their pastimes. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Shri Nityananda Prabhu Ki. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Ki. Well, look, we got a few questions here. 5. Bear with us, okay? So, okay, here we go. How come it is not commonly known of the appearance of Lord Caitanya and Lord Nityananda? There are many followers of Krishna consciousness, yet even myself only recently learned of their appearance. Yeah, well, they're kind of, you could say, secret appearances of the Supreme Lord. Kind of secret. You know, when Lord Caitanya and Lord Nityananda were here 500 and so on, roughly 500 years ago, they didn't much do like what you might call miracles, if you know what I mean. They did a little bit, but not so much. Because, well, what they did, in fact, both of them, they both acted as devotees, rather than like when Krishna and Balaram appeared 5,000 years ago as Krishna and Balaram. Oh, they did these incredible things. Krishna showing Arjuna how the universe is a manifestation of his energies. I mean, that's pretty spectacular. When you actually, with your eyes, you see the Lord literally pervading the universe. In fact, it was such an incredible experience for Arjuna. He almost died. He almost had a heart attack. It was just so totally overwhelming. And so many other things, just literally every day. But when Krishna and Balaram appeared as Lord Caitanya and Lord Nityananda, they knew that if we do things like this, which they can easily do, it's just literally nothing for them. But if we do things like this, it's Kali Yuga. And Kali Yuga is the age of, among other things, copying people who we're impressed by. So if we display our godhood in all sorts of super dramatic ways, people will try and copy us. And they'll try and say that they're God and, something like this. And we'll get a whole lot of imitation gods. But Lord Krishna and Lord Balaram, when they appeared as Lord Caitanya and Lord Nityananda, they thought, we should appear as devotees and do amazing devotional things. So then, if people want to copy us, they'll become devotees. This is the idea. They'll become devotees. So actually, from some years ago, at least outside of India, almost literally nobody had heard of Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna consciousness. Now all over the world, millions, and just, not perhaps literally everyone, but it's sort of moving in the direction of literally everyone on the planet has heard of Krishna and Hare Krishna. Indradyumna Swami was telling me he was coming to join us in a festival in Siberia some maybe 10 years ago. And the plane got diverted by fog and it landed in another airport for a few hours. And they're waiting in the airport and there was this old man from the communist times sweeping the airport. And this old man, he was probably at least 70, that's my age, I guess I'm old too, but anyway. But he was sort of, worse for wear. He's sweeping the airport and he walks up to Indradyumna Maharaj and says, who are you? What are you? In Russian, of course. Maharaj had a translator. And he said, are you a Buddhist? And Maharaj said, no, I'm Hare Krishna. And the man said, oh, you're Hare Krishna. And this is way out in deep Siberia. And you must know, that's way out. So the man said, oh, you're Hare Krishna, okay. And Maharaj asked, you've heard of Hare Krishna? And the man sort of took a step back and like he's a bit offended. Of course I've heard of Hare Krishna. You think I'm stupid? So yeah, it's kind of low-key in a certain sense, not high-key. But step by step, it's spreading from one person, at least say outside of India. Now it's millions of people outside India, and it's growing every day. So that's the idea that, I remember when I was young, which I was once, but in the 60s, I was a teenager, and, first of all, I was an Elvis Presley fan, believe it or not. Late Elvis Presley. And then the Beatles came in, and the Rolling Stones, and boy, I really took off then. But when they came in, all young men started growing their hair. Prior to like 1963, 64, you never see a male. You just would never literally see a male in the Western world with long hair. But then suddenly, between 63, 64, if you're a young man and you didn't have long hair, you were just uncool. You were really uncool. So follow the leader. Copy the leaders. It's a big thing. It's a really big thing. So therefore the Lord came as a devotee. So gradually as people learn and appreciate, wow, this is really quite something, then they'll also become devotees as they're doing. I mean, even me, George Harrison was a devotee. He had his ups and downs, but he was definitely a devotee. But he was one of my heroes. And I thought, yeah, okay, I must get into Krishna consciousness then. If the Beatles are doing it, it must be cool. This is interesting. Please explain the mercy of Lord Nityananda in relation to the Balaram Mridanga, if such exists. Well, that's a good question, if such exists. The thing is that the Mridanga drum, which we use and we were using and we will use again shortly, it's taken to be a form of Lord Balaram. I mean, it's said like that. It's a form of Lord Balaram because it serves the Lord in his kirtan. And in this age, the chanting, the kirtan, is so important, all important. So Lord Balaram, in the form of the Mridanga, it's said, is serving the Lord in his kirtan, his chanting pastimes, by providing the rhythm, the beat. Yeah. That's what they say. Okay, here's the next one, number 3. We got 5, number 3. If you get into a physical argument with a devotee, I don't know if I should even read this. If you get into a physical argument with a devotee, are you allowed to hit them? It takes all types. Well, look, if you get into an argument with a devotee and they hit you, then you should offer your obeisances to them and thank them. Thank you for giving me some special mercy, tough love. Really, but you shouldn't hit them back. We have many faults. We have so many faults, we don't even know how many faults we have. I mean, really, we really don't know how many and what are the extents of each fault. So if someone insults you and tells you, you are a dirty rat or some sort of stupid thing like that, you're a nonsense. The fact is that there's every possibility, with respect, great respect, there's every possibility that you're a lot worse than that. And so therefore, if someone tells you you are just, a jerk of some sort, you should, a good approach, and it tends to defuse the people, would be to tell them, actually, I'm much worse than that. You're saying I'm a this or a that, but actually you don't know how bad I am. I'm really a lot worse. So you are practically praising me. As I said, it tends to defuse them. Right now, gosh, we've got a mighty question here. Okay, we're quoting from Caitanya Charitamrita Majjhilila, chapter 19, verse 160. If one does not distinguish between the Bhakti creeper and other creepers, the sprinkling of water is misused because other creepers are nourished while the Bhakti creeper is curtailed. What is an example of the sprinkling of water being misused? By my understanding, the sprinkling of water is hearing and chanting. So does it mean that we should not contemplate our material desires when hearing and chanting? Yeah, I mean, no, we don't want to get into too much technical stuff, but yes, you know, you can misuse a good thing for a bad purpose. And sometimes, particularly if while we're chanting is a good thing, of course, it's the best thing. But while we're chanting, if we're contemplating our some different material desires, and even if there's a mood like I'm chanting, and if I chant nicely, maybe Krishna will help me fulfill my material desires. These things happen sometimes. Then you are trying to use something very good for not a good purpose, if you follow the idea. And so you're sort of watering a weed. You should be watering or trying to develop your devotional mood, but you're kind of encouraging your material mood, your non-devotional mood. So therefore, the solution is not to stop chanting, but the solution is to stop your material desires and focus properly on your chanting. The next text says that as soon as an intelligent devotee sees an unwanted creeper growing beside the original creeper, he must cut it down instantly. What does this mean in a practical context? Yeah, it means that if while you're chanting and chanting, and then you see some material desire is sort of coming up, then you should try and kick it out. Try and stop it. Just tell your mind, listen, mind, stop thinking of this rubbish. You know, something like that. Be a little strong with your mind. Don't let your mind just take advantage of you. So that's the idea. Since we know that we are powerless over directly removing anathas from our heart, so is it referring to us recognizing our material desires and simply not acting on them, but rather focusing on devotional service? You know, actually it's a very, very good question, or kind of series of questions. Very good and very important. So, you know, you make a point here. We know that we are powerless over directly removing anathas, being, you know, undesirable thought patterns and things like that. So does this mean that we just recognize our material desires, don't act on them, and rather focus on devotional service? I hope you're following. Well, definitely. We should definitely recognize our material desires. And we should definitely not act on them. And we should definitely focus on devotional service. But we must also make an effort too to stop the nonsense. Really. We have to make some effort to stop our nonsense, because it's our nonsense. Therefore, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, Prabhupada's spiritual master, he said, every day when you wake up, you should beat your mind 100 times with a stick. And at night before you go to bed, should beat your mind 100 times with a shoe. The idea, it doesn't mean literally, 1, 2, 3, like that. But it means we have to try our best to discipline our minds and not just be lazy and say, oh, Krishna will do it. You know, like our previous question, can we punch a devotee in the nose? Is it all right? If you've got this desire, I want to punch this devotee in the nose. So, but I don't want to be artificial and kind of force myself to not do what I feel like doing. So I'll just punch him in the nose. And Krishna will take away the desire in due course. No, you don't do that. So we have to sort of take ourselves in hand and become self-controlled as much as we're able, and pray to Krishna and engage in devotional service. And in this way, gradually we'll become purified, and the desire, or these material desires, will gradually fade. So this is the last one. Jagai and Madai, the gatekeepers of Vaikuntha, who came down. Well, yes, they're Jai and Vijay, the gatekeepers of Vaikuntha, but they were cursed to take 3 births as demons. But they were given a 4th birth to appear in the pastimes of Lord Caitanya and Lord Nityananda. First they were Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu, then Ravana and Kumbhakarna, then Shishupal and Dantavakra, then 4th time, to get real mercy from Lord Caitanya and Lord Nityananda, they came as Jagai and Madai. Hare Krishna!
Hare Krishna!
Srila Prabhupada ki jai! So here comes our MC, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Miraj. Thank you for imparting all this knowledge on us and giving us such an enlightening class. Thank you to the Kirtan group for the very nice Kirtan. And thank you to everyone for coming today.